So it finally happened.
After all this time, almost 20 years.
After nearly 2 decades of, I don't know, will they, won't they, start-stop talks.
Yeah.
The ink is officially dry. As of January 27, 2026, the India-European Union Free Trade Agreement is a reality. They're calling it the mother of all deals.
And, that nickname it's actually pretty well earned. We aren't just talking about your standard run-of-the-mill trade pact here.
I know.
If you just look at the sheer numbers, it's a monster. You're connecting 2 billion people.
2 billion.
It covers about 25% of the entire world's GDP and a third of all global trade. It's massive.
It is absolutely huge.
Yep.
The scale is almost hard to wrap your head around. And I think because it's so big, the coverage gets a little dense.
A little.
You see headlines scrolling by about, bilateral investment treaties and your eyes just glaze over. But the mission for this deep dive is different. We're not getting bogged down in jargon today.
Right.
We're going to answer one simple question. How does this change your life?
Exactly. The macroeconomics are fascinating, but the real story is micro. It's in the grocery bill, the job market, the price of a car.
The ability to get a visa?
Yes. This deal has been in the works since 2007. It stalled out completely in 2013, then restarted in 2022. Now that it's here, it reshapes daily reality for the common man.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the first place you're going to feel this is in your wallet, right at the supermarket.
Right away.
I'm looking at the list of tariff cuts here, and for anyone who, likes European food, this is a big shift.
It really is. For the longest time, the imported foods aisle in an Indian supermarket came with this hefty luxury tax, essentially.
Right.
The agreement targets that immediately. We're seeing the total removal of the 50% tariff on processed food.
50%. Wait, so you're telling me half the cost on the sticker was just tax?
Precisely. A massive markup. And that tariff goes to zero immediately. So think about European chocolates, pastries, biscuits, pasta.
All those things that were a special treat.
Right. Now they can compete more directly with local brands.
Yeah.
And it's not just the fun stuff. For the health-conscious shopper, duties on olive oil, which were at 45%, are being eliminated over 5 years.
Okay, so that's going to change the weekly grocery run. But let's be honest, if we're talking European imports, the big headline grabber has to be the dinner party. The legendary alcohol tax.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The 150% tariff, it was a major, major sticking point for years.
I mean, it basically made importing any decent European wine impossible for most people. It became an ultra-luxury item.
It did. The New Deal.
Yeah.
It just slashes that. For spirits, it's a flat reduction down to 40%. Immediately.
From 150 to 40, that's a huge drop. Is there a catch?
It's a massive drop. For wines, it's a little more nuanced. Premium wines see a phased reduction from 150 down to 20%. Beer drops from 110 to 50.
Okay.
But here's the interesting thing. It's not just about cheaper bottles, it's about variety. Suddenly, European producers will send a wider range of products because the market is actually viable now. You'll see a more sophisticated retail landscape emerge from this.
So the shelves are going to look a lot more global. It's not just the high-end stuff anymore.
Exactly.
All right, speaking of aspirational things.
Right.
Let's move from the kitchen to the driveway.
Right. The automotive sector. The other huge battleground.
For decades, the dream in India has been owning a German car, a BMW, an Audi. But the taxes were just punishing. Does this deal finally make that happen?
Well, here is where it gets interesting and a little complicated.
I thought it might.
The negotiators had to thread a very fine needle here. They wanted to open the market, but not kill the domestic industry. So, yes, the duty on fully built luxury cars is dropping from 110% to just 10%.
10% on a German car. That sounds too good to be true. What's the catch?
There is a catch, too, actually. First, it's a quota. That 10% rate only applies to the first 250,000 units per year.
Oh, okay. So it's a race. Like a golden ticket.
In a way. But the second catch is more important. This only applies to cars priced above 25 lakh rupees, roughly $30,000.
Okay, that makes sense.
Any car below that price point, the tariffs stay exactly where they are.
So they're protecting the bread and butter of the Indian auto industry, the Tatas, the Mahindras. You're not going to see a flood of cheap European hatchback.
Exactly. It protects those mass market jobs. It says, if you can afford a luxury car, we'll give you a break. But we won't let foreign cars undercut our family sedans.
Smart. What about EVs, electric vehicles? Europe's a giant there.
They are. And the government knows India's EV sector is still, well, it's a baby.
It's nascent, yeah.
If they open the floodgates now, the domestic EV industry could be crushed. So the tax cuts for EVs don't even start until year 5 of the agreement.
That's a clever buffer. It gives them 5 years to get their tech up to speed, like a training montage before the big fight.
It's a strategic pause. And
Oh,
just quickly, while we're on high-value items, jewelry tariffs on pearls, precious stones, up to 22.5%, they're also being eliminated or slashed.
so as a consumer, the common man is doing pretty well here. Cheaper food, better wine, maybe a cheaper luxury car. But we can't just spend money.
We have to earn it.
Let's pivot. We've talked about shopping. Now let's talk about the factory floor. Does this deal actually help someone get a job?
This is arguably the most impactful part of the deal for the working class. You have to see it in the China Plus One context.
Right, the strategy where companies are trying to diversify so they aren't totally reliant on China.
Exactly. Global companies are desperate for other options. This deal puts India in the prime position to be that option.
So how does a treaty in Brussels help a weaver in Tamil Nadu?
It levels the playing field. Until now, Indian textiles, leather, footwear, they faced tariffs of 10 to 17% going into Europe. But competitors like Bangladesh didn't pay those tariffs. They had a duty-free access. So an Indian shirt was automatically more expensive.
It's like running a race with weights on your ankles.
It was. Now, those duties for India go to zero immediately. We're projecting this could create between 2 and 3 million new jobs.
2 to 3 million.
Yes. Revitalizing hubs like Tirupur in Tamil Nadu for textiles, or leather clusters in Uttar Pradesh and Gujarat, it brings orders back to India.
That's huge. But I've heard small businesses, the MSMEs, they often struggle with these deals because the paperwork is a nightmare.
That's the rules of origin problem, and you're right. But here, they simplified it. The agreement allows for self-certification.
What does that mean in simple terms?
It means a small exporter doesn't have to drown in paperwork or pay for expensive third-party certifications to prove their product is Indian. They can just self-certify. It lowers the barrier to entry for them massively.
Okay, that's the factory.
Yeah.
What about the office? The knowledge economy? Engineers, doctors, IT professionals, does this help them? I've heard about this Mode 4 breakthrough.
Mode 4 is just trade speak for the movement of professionals, and this is where negotiations usually die.
Because rich countries get nervous about their job
They
markets.
get terrified. But this time, they cracked it. The biggest win is the mutual recognition of qualifications.
So if I'm an architect in Mumbai, my degree actually means something in Munich now.
Yes. You won't have to sit for redundant exams. Indian degrees in accounting, architecture, medicine, they'll be recognized. But the even bigger win, practically speaking, is Social Security.
Oh, the double contribution issue.
It was a huge pain point. Indian professionals in Europe were forced to pay into Social Security systems, pensions, healthcare that they could never claim.
You're paying for a pension you'll never see. It's basically a pay cut.
It is. This agreement ends that. It sets up a framework to sign bilateral deals with all 27 EU nations within 5 years so you don't pay double.
That is real money back in people's pockets.
It is. Plus, it's easier for intra-corporate transferees to move, and this is crucial, they can bring their spouses.
That's a detail that really matters. It makes it possible for families.
It does. It just shows a more holistic approach to professional movement.
Okay, so far, this sounds like a victory lap. Cheaper wine, more jobs, easier visas. I have to play devil's advocate for a second.
Go for it.
Usually with these deals, the anxiety is about the vulnerable sectors. What about our farmers? What about our generic drug industry?
The two big defensive interests. You're right to bring them up.
Let's start with pharma. The fear is always that Europe will force strict patent laws that kill our generic drug industry. Does this mean more expensive medicine for us?
The fear was they'd demand data exclusivity, which would block cheap generics for longer. And India is the pharmacy of the world. We need our generics.
So did we cave.
We did not. The negotiators held the line. The agreement sticks to the existing TRIPS safeguards. There is no TRIPS Plus. Our status is safe.
Okay.
In fact, because tariffs on specialized European medicines are also dropping, things we don't make here will actually get cheaper.
So we keep the cheap generics and the high-end importing stuff gets cheaper. That sounds like a win-win. But the farmers?
Yeah.
European agriculture is heavily subsidized.
This is where the government drew a red line. Dairy, cereals, poultry, and sugar. They were completely excluded from the deal.
Just off the table. No duty cuts at all.
None. The small farmer is protected. But on the flip side, Indian agriculture got some wins. Our tea, coffee, and mangoes get easier access to Europe, and they got geographical indication or GI protection.
Like champagne can only come from Champagne.
Exactly. So now Darjeeling tea gets that same legal protection in Europe. It elevates the brand and stops knockoffs.
That's brilliant. It protects the vulnerable staples but promotes the premium exports. Okay, last big thing, climate change. The EU's carbon tax, the CBAM. Was that a problem?
A huge hurdle. The CBAM is basically a carbon tax at the border. For a small Indian manufacturer, meeting EU green standards is expensive. It could have undone all the tariff benefits.
Right, what good is zero tariff if you get hit with a massive carbon tax?
Exactly. So the EU agreed to a just transition approach. They're setting up a 500 million euro green fund to help Indian MSMEs upgrade their technology.
500 million euros, that's substantial.
It is. It's money specifically to help small businesses buy the tech they need. It transforms a threat into an opportunity to modernize.
So instead of being punished, they're being funded.
That's the idea.
So the big question, we signed the deal in January 2026. When do I actually see the price of pasta drop?
So right now, we're in the legal scrubbing and ratification phase. That takes up most of 2026. The target for entry into force is early 2027.
Early 2027. That's when the prices actually start dropping.
Correct. But the strategic impact starts now. If we look at the big picture, this deal lets India hedge against volatility with, say, the US or China. It locks in a partnership with a stable, democratic bloc. It's about long-term stability.
So what this all means is we're entering a new era. 2026 was the year of the signature, but 2027 is the year of the experiment.
That is a great way to put it.
So here's a final thought for everyone listening. We've talked about economics, tariffs, quotas, GDP. But as European goods start flooding the shelves here and Indian professionals flood the airports to go there, how quickly does the cultural integration follow the economic one?
That's the real unknown, isn't it?
We're connecting two very old, very proud civilizations. The money moves fast, but I'm curious to see how the culture moves.
I think the cultural exchange is often far more transformative than the trade balance. It changes what we eat, how we work, everything.
Absolutely. We will be watching very closely. If you want to stay ahead of the curve on how the global economy is shifting, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We'll be back with another deep dive soon. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.